Good morning, Downieville. Welcome to Dirt Magic, the Downieville Sessions. I'm your host, Martin Scheel. Dirt Magic, the Downieville Sessions, brings you good times from the great people of the Downieville Classic. In the days leading up to the 25th anniversary of this epic event, you will hear from some great people, including past champions, riders, volunteers, staff, guests, and locals, sharing their classic stories that all began some 28 years ago. Our guest today hails from a town where you used to be able to attend college naked, which brings a whole new meaning to banana slugs. He is making a name for himself as the Trail Bear Whisperer, not to be confused with the Cocaine Bear. And while he prefers veterinarians and trailside medics for his many suture procedures, he still isn't afraid to shred the Downieville trail system on two wheels. Calling him a partner or sponsor would be a disservice, as his DNA bleeds Downieville and Sierra Buttes Trail stewardship, both literally and figuratively. He attempted a side career in kart racing, but quickly found out that mixing it up with yours truly was not a good track decision. But all kidding aside, please welcome a super rad dude and family member of the Downieville Classic and Sierra Buttes Trail stewardship, Garen, the bull in the china shop, Becker. Garen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to this one. You know, it's when I look at how long you and I have known each other, going back to early Downieville Classic, but even prior to that, even prior to when you and I first met, just thinking that back in the '90s, a credit card, a van, a dude on a bike, and guiding folks into the Downieville trail system would lead to the precipice of coming up on the 25th anniversary or 25th running of the Downieville Classic. And, just all the variables that had to happen for you and I to be sitting here right now having this conversation.
I know. There's been a lot of crazy times leading up to it, haven't there? I even tried to remember some on just before the podcast, and one of the things I didn't remember was our times in Vegas. I guess
Yeah.
I guess we'll get to that later. But
Interbike. Oh, we will definitely talk about that. Ooh, yeah, the racing. You and I, boy. Yeah, that was we could have been the sequel to the Talladega Nights for sure. You and I, we'd have been the next Ricky Bobby and and what's his name? That'd have been for sure. Oh, well, down this path. So where did it all start for you? I mean, you've worked for Santa Cruz Bikes for how long?
I guess it's 18 years and change now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Where did you grow up and how did you get to Santa Cruz?
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, I'll start. I'll try to be quick. I grew up in Fremont, California, just over the hill from here. Back when I always say that this is back when Fremont was different than it is now. I grew up in empty lots with BMX jumps and riding bikes around with fishing poles in my backpack and with a bunch of pals, being BMX kids. And now it's a different place. But I moved to Santa Cruz basically the day I graduated high school to ride mountain bikes. So I've been here in Santa Cruz proper for 25 years or so. And to get here to Santa Cruz Bikes, I worked in the bike shops through college, and I just pestered Doug Hatfield, who back then was our production head and is now a syndicate mechanic. And I pestered him over and over and over again until he gave me a job. I found a job at Santa Cruz in production in my early 20s, and I'm still here to this day.
And what's your title now?
My title is brand manager for North America. So yeah.
That sounds like you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, a lot of hats. Dude, a lot of stuff that's not even on the job description is coming into play at this point. But it's been a good run, man. It's still a good place to work. So I'm happy for it.
So with regards to Downieville and not so much the classic, or maybe that's where it started. Was it Santa Cruz bikes that first got you to Downieville, or were you already aware of Downieville?
No, I was like, you know how you see every so often in Downieville, you see people on the shuttle, and you're just like, wow, that's pretty hardcore. The cut off jeans and like the shitty old bikes, and you know, that was me. I was there before I got the job at Santa Cruz. I was on the Yuba Expedition shuttles. I was absolutely cooked after one run down the Downieville downhill. And that was the ride, one time back to camp. Um, so yeah, it grew over the years, my Downieville experiences.
Yeah, it really is a specimen. I was the same way too, coming up out of El Dorado Hills and Alex Aguilar Dynamic Bicycles. My first like brand new mountain bike was a Park Pro Comp, still a hardtail, RockShox Judy with elastomers. But you know what? I mean, there were only a few people that rode fully suspended, and one of the guys within the shop, Jody, he had the Chrome Molly Heckler, that was fully suspended. Or was it fully suspended? God, was there a chrome
It was
version of the
fully
Heckler?
suspended, but it was never. It was
Was
never
it chrome?
chromoly. He made it probably just polished.
It was
It was
polished. Yeah, it
always
was.
been
Yeah,
an aluminum bike. Yeah.
yeah. And I just remember looking at that machine, going, "Wow, that thing is cool." And he was a really good rider. But yeah, that downhill. But not knowing, when you've never ridden a fully suspended bike before and you're still on a hardtail and you're just excited about, a longer travel Judy with brand new elastomers, that's just been, new oil in it and everything. Even before, it didn't have lockouts or dampeners or anything. But yeah, coming down that downhill, getting to town, and just that, pizza and beer at that point was, I mean, it was like the golden moment of finding the oasis in a desert.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I remember we would camp down at Rocky Rest down on 49 and just sit in the river all day and hang out. But that was my early days at Downieville. Santa Cruz bikes certainly kind of accelerated my time in Downieville. Been lucky enough to spend a lot of time there over these last 18 years, and I've been at the Downieville Classic probably since 7 or 8, I guess, and I haven't missed one since the first one that I worked. I have not missed one,
so
which is
it's been
cool.
it's been all mountain ever since you've been there. Then it was when you were first there for Santa Cruz bikes, it had already converted to the all mountain.
I think so, man. I don't know. I wish I would have
Yeah.
done some research. I don't know.
Oh,
Good
that's fine.
question.
We did it. Well, we did it in 2005. That was the first year
Okay.
that we switched it over. But Greg and I were talking too to try to figure out. We were trying to remember, when Santa Cruz first started sponsoring, or at the high level, like WTB was our title there for a while. But once Santa Cruz bikes came in, and we think this is like in '99 or the year 2000. We're not really 100% sure. But once that title sponsor stuck, I mean, it's been that way ever since, which is pretty amazing for any event. If you think of any event, especially in the cycling world, that's getting ready to run its 25th race, and the title sponsor has been there, 90+% of the time. Pretty amazing.
Well, I think it comes from like back in the day when the Heckler and the Tasman were first coming out. It was Rob and the engineers here at the time were going to ride in Downieville, and that was like where we'd go beat on bikes. And then we had Mike Ferrantino was head marketeer here for a while, and he had the obvious relationship with the stewardship, and it's been one of those sponsorships that hasn't been. It's never really a. No, it was never really like the most solid financial decision, probably. But it was more like a relationship thing, and it's just that the relationship has blossomed over the years, and we just haven't been able to let it go. We love it up there. It's
Well,
like
we're
our
we are
backyard.
we're certainly grateful for that. And when we built the stewardship in 2003, and of course Ferrantino was a part of that, and Greg Cosmo and Carl from Downieville there at the at the Messenger. The next year, 2004, we did. That's the only year that we didn't have the Downieville Classic, other than the pandemic. And that's when Greg's first kid was being born. He was building a house. The stewardship was getting ramped up. But it's pretty amazing that Santa Cruz Bike still came through, and knowing that the big tent wasn't going to be there at the finish line, and there were going to be thousands of people in Downieville on Saturday and Sunday, and all the microphone stuff and all that. But yet it was for a good cause, and we certainly appreciate that over the years that it stuck, because it's allowed us to do amazing things, not only in Downieville, but Sierra and Plumas counties and Lassen County. So it changes you. Downieville, it changes your DNA once it gets in your blood. It really affects your personal life, your work life, how you make decisions on where you want to be, where you want to live, and what you're going to do.
I know. I'll admit I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, oh, Gray Eagle, that's pretty nice. Plumas County. And we've had people like Eric Highlander just said, screw it. I'm done with Santa Cruz. I'm buying a house in Portola. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have checked into Gray Eagle. Obviously, Joe, has a place in Downieville. I remember back, gosh, I don't know how long ago this was, but Alex and I and a bunch of us that always rode, from El Dorado Hills and Sacramento area. There was a place on the market, and it was cheap. It was like one of the ones coming right into town. Of course, had a septic issue, and this was right when the environmental side was really tough. So the septic tank was probably going to cost 20 or 30 grand, and at that point you're just like, good grief. I mean, this place was for sale for like $80,000, but it was multiple bedroom right in Downieville. And boy, hindsight 2020, we just kicked ourselves, because that place probably wouldn't go for less than $400,000 right now. But yeah, it is. It's crazy. Well, you guys treated it differently too. I mean, obviously Interbike, I can't even imagine how expensive that is for any cycling company, especially the production that you guys had there with staff. Sea Otter Classic, same thing, big production, a lot of staff. I mean, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars spent over those type of events. And then you come to a town of Downieville, and you have a significant investment in the classic and our title sponsor, but you guys treat it a little different. That tent goes up, the couches come out, the blender comes out, the ice chests come out. Granted, there are brand new bikes there, all the Santa Cruz steeds, and you guys are there and gals are there to answer questions, but you treat this event a little bit different as far as what your expo space provides for you.
Well, yeah, actually, it's a good point, dude. And on the point of the big trade shows, we may go back someday. You never know, but there's a lot of value there's a lot of value in an event like Downieville, where the employees are happy and everyone's riding bikes, and an event where it is essentially a glorified tech show. The the expense is often hard to justify. And we, like this year, we just didn't go to Sea Otter to try it out. Didn't go, and it was okay. We like to pick events that mean more to us, and Downieville Classic is one of them. You said we do it differently. We do set up the big tent. We have the whole, the title sponsors. We have the big show and the finish line there. I was talking to Debbie Bonovich a long time ago. Debbie Bonovich, long-time volunteer, Downieville SBTS employee and volunteer coordinator for the Classic. And she made a comment once to me that said something like, a couple people told me that your booth is like kind of like it's not very welcoming, because it's full of people, and it's like it's all the cool kids are in there. And I was like, man, it hurt my feelings a little bit. And I thought about it long and hard, and I was like, what, the reason why it looked that way to her is that it's full of people, but the people, they aren't our people. They're the people of the Downieville Classic and the festival, and there's no walls in the tent. So like this year, I'm going to put a huge sign there that says, please come in. But if you're listening to the podcast and Santa Cruz tent is there, the couches are there. This year, we're going to try for some big tables or something. There's very few bikes in the booth, because it's not a show for us to necessarily talk about Santa Cruz bikes. There's enough bikes in the field racing. If you want to look at Santa Cruz bikes, there's probably enough out there. This is an event for everyone to come in and hang out and just be part of the event and get out of the sun. And everyone is welcome in that booth. Just PSA, come into the booth.
I'll have to razz Debbie the next time I talk to her a little bit on that one too. But yeah, I mean, for sure, it's always, and you know what, if you're in Downieville on a bike, you are a cool kid. And if you're at the Downieville Classic, no matter where you are, where you're from, who you work for, if you're riding on the bike or just working there for the event, you're a cool kid too. They're all
Yep.
cool kids when you're in Downieville.
Yeah, I can see how she can say that because the booth, it gets real crowded, but so there might be standing room only, but it's just because it's open booth. We want everyone in there. The misters are there. It's like a chill place to eat your pasta.
That's why I love doing my announcing from right there. It's one of the best spots in the house, and it has been for, well, more than a decade. So when the Big Tents came in, yeah, it's interesting too when the bikes are there. But obviously I am extremely biased. But I stand by my bias that the Santa Cruz bike fleet really speaks for itself. It always has, and like you said, there's probably some pictures out there of frames that don't have paint on them. Definitely don't have a name yet. But it is a Santa Cruz, and it's being ridden and being tested, being just beat to hell. And eventually it will get a name, and if it helped cut its teeth in Downieville, well, that's just proof in the pudding that really you guys are a masterful company. And I know the bikes, some of them may have been designed specifically for Downieville, and then go out and be success globally. But yeah, the proof is in the pudding, and just watch how many of those Santa Cruz steeds come across the finish line next month, and that should be proof to anybody. So,
And watch where they come along.
yes,
We're bringing some ringers this time. We'll see what happens. It's gonna. I looked at the roster. It's gonna be a good race this year. A lot of fast riders are coming.
it is. It's I'm super stoked for it. The 25th anniversary. I know that's really going to ramp up the competition, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's strange days, with Ube Expeditions no longer being, in Downieville. It's just our Quincy main office. But there's a full-time bike shop. Downieville Outfitters is there in Downieville, and they carry, Santa Cruz bikes, of course. Be foolish not to. But that's another success story that Greg and Sabrina, with the cafe there, full time. They live there, or live in the area, and they make a life for themselves. And I like to think that way back when, the early days of Yuba, the Downieville Classic, and the stewardship, maybe help breathe some of that spark, back into folks taking a little risk, and being welcoming to the mountain bikers. But yeah, it's boy, the shuttles and everything from Yuba, the multiple locations of Yuba, but always came back to the Downieville Classic, just waiting for that thing to show up. And when I first met my wife, and she wanted me to come down, she was a teacher at the time, and her parents lived in Bakersfield, which is already reason not to want to go down and hang out with their parents. Of course, they live in Pismo now, so any chance I get, I'll go. But
Nice.
but yeah, it was the Downieville Classic, and we only been dating for like a year or something like that. And she's like, "Really? You have to be?" I go, "Yeah. I'm required to be there." and then, of course, the first time she went the following year, she understood it, and it changed her too. So
Yeah, there's something about it, dude. These last couple of years have been a bummer without this event. It is. I always tell Greg it's the marquee Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship event. You guys have a bunch of great ones now, Lost and Found, and expanding operations to Quincy. But the Downieville Classic it's what draws that core mountain bike crowd in, and it's just what we all want.
it's funny when you talk to people that have never been there. They've heard of it, but never been there. A point-to-point cross-country race is pretty uncommon now, as opposed to something where, it's a lap-based system where, beginner, sport, experts, pro, do a certain amount of laps. But the downhill, when people are used to the enduro, the World Series, and I mean, you name it, any standard downhill, these are like less than 5-minute runs. And hear this downhill at 17 miles with some climbing and some slight downhill pedaling, a 50-minute downhill, and they're like, "What? 50 minutes? What are you talking about?"
Yep, I'm excited to see how it unfolds this year for sure.
So what's your favorite between the downhill or the cross country?
Can I say the all mountain? I think it's really spectacular that we are weighing bikes and taking notes on the components on the bike before both days. I think it's really, really unique to, and a really good testament to the hardware out there and the riders, that they have to pick the right stuff and take that gamble and ride the same stuff both days.
Those early days, like Modular and Weir, running tires for WTB, and one of them on a blur, one of them on a super light, or whatever Jason was riding to. The skin suits came out, least amount of pads, and people just thought it was insanity. At that time, before Sunrise Trail was a part of it, and here comes Weir across the line and Henry in sub 40 minutes, and when that thing first hit sub 40, it was insanity. And when you think of the waterfall, I mean, just really what's part of that course, and going from Packer to Downieville in under 40 minutes on a blur in a skin suit with minimal padding was just insane for people. They just couldn't, and then, you've got a wicked bike for the cross country. So,
yeah, I remember being really amazed at the choice of bikes and watching the fast guys come through, and then expecting in my head, like, oh, well, these guys are going to win the overall, but the downhill time is going to be won on a bigger bike than that. And it's not, because while that downhill has some pretty rugged sections, it's not altogether the steepest thing in the world. And it takes a ton of fitness to ride that thing fast the whole time. It's like, you're not going to win that in a couple corners. Like, oh, so-and-so, Danny Hart took this inside line on the last race and he got Greg by a second and a half on that. That doesn't factor in Downieville. What factors is endurance and power.
Yeah. Even Carl Decker said, and he won 5 in a row. He even mentioned too that he never even thought about the downhill. He goes, there's no way I'm even going to be competitive. I just need to make sure that on the cross country side, I kick as much butt as I can. And of course, we actually had to change the rules because of him, because some of his cross country races, he had such a gap on the number 2, 3, and 4 riders that it'd be impossible to make that up on the downhill. It's just not possible.
Yep.
And but he ended up winning, one of the downhills too. And he was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe I was the fastest guy down. But again, like you said, that fitness level, your endurance, being able to ride the same bike in those changing conditions. It is a unique race, definitely a unique race. Within the system, what's your favorite trail in the Downieville system?
Oh my gosh, I've had so many good times, man. Like favorite single trail.
Yeah,
I'm real partial to Poly, and I'm real partial to Butcher. I love those. I also really love the old Chimney to Empire thing. I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time tooling around in the woods out there for various work projects and just for fun. And I've just had some glorious days. I've ridden some stuff that's just old, overgrown, scratched trail that miners put in the middle 1800s. I've ridden some like big, wide, fast stuff like Third Divide. I mean, you've just ridden it all. And it's like the Chimney Rock area, those prehistoric trails I take it back. That's my favorite trail. Chimney Rock.
It's pretty awesome. The first time I was ever on it, Alex and the other people had been on it. Of course, we pedaled from A Tree or B Tree, whatever the farthest one you could drive to, before you had to get on your bike and then start pedaling. And they said, oh yeah, there's a few switchbacks going up that trail. And I was fit back then. I mean, fit enough to ride them. But boy, I tell you what, I had plenty of cuss words after we got over the second peak of switchbacks. And then there was still another peak. And they go, we promise that's the final one. I'm like, you guys are killing me. But boy, the payoff on that one was, I mean, disc brakes that were red hot, that you couldn't even put them in water. If you'd have put them in water, they would have warped because they were so hot. But man, such a fast, flowy trail. And of course, down in Empire too. But Chimney Rock definitely it's an epic trail.
Yeah, it's one of those trails. It's real hard to get out there. You have to pay. It's a time commitment, and you don't want to go out there unprepared. But once you're out there, it's a short trail, but it's just spectacular views, amazing history, a lot of access to like Poker Flat and all that stuff down there. That's just, man, it's a whole different world. And it's it's surprising that we don't see more people out there. But when I go out there, I've only ran into people hunting, like quads, either hunting like mining people or hunters or dirt bikers. But it's pretty rare to see another mountain biker out there.
Yeah, the motos certainly love it. It's probably becoming more popular now because of like the Heckler and the Bronson.
Hmm.
to be, especially for someone
Oh,
like me,
yeah.
that's definitely not as in shape like I used to be. But, I'll get after those switchbacks and on the e-bike and climb knowing that payoff's coming and I won't be spent. By the
Yeah.
time I get to the top, I'm like, all right, I can actually enjoy this downhill.
Hmm.
um, you know, obviously you ride a lot, and Santa Cruz has some epic trails, where you are, and staying fit. The pandemic, kind of threw a snag in there too, but on a serious note, you guys had the lightning complex, come through there, and a devastating fire. um, I know you and a buddy, have some trails in and around property there that sounds like potentially probably could have saved some homes. And unfortunately, Garen, I know that you lost yours, and that's tragic. But who knows? Mountain bike trails may have been the savior potentially for some of those homes down in your neck of the woods.
There's a spot in um, there's a spot on my local trail where after the fires, you could see burn zone on the right, non-burn on the left. The trail, and no one was out there helping, but the trail itself did serve as a fire break in some spots. Pretty cool. And that trail was put in by a local legend, Justin Robinson, 20 years ago when he's in seventh grade, and he, is still born and raised in Bonnie Doon, was up there with a crew fighting this fire and did a lot of work to make it stay where it did. Um, but yeah, the trail absolutely was part of the part of the fire break. Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, the loss, but when the community comes together like that, especially when, obviously, between Cal Fire and all the agencies that are involved, at some point they start making decisions on where they can make stands, where they won't. And your guys' area where you guys live, obviously, once it kind of not necessarily fell off the radar, but wasn't the big impact. We're not going to come through with the dozer lines, and we're not going to put 10 hotshot crews in there and 500 fire personnel. It sounds
Or
like the
yeah,
community
or
came
one,
together, or even one
or
fire
one fire
truck.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did. We came together. Everyone's. I mean, it's pretty cool to see a ton of rebuilding going on around us right now. Taylor and I were. We just had our first kid at that point. He was 3 weeks old, and so when the fire came through, I kind of went ham on it. I probably lost a couple years of my life, but our house is done, and we're back in action, and that it feels pretty good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember some early conversations too. Yeah, you guys were kicking it in an RV
Hmm.
with a newborn,
Hmm.
rebuilding a house, still having to work and do your day job and be a dad and supporting Taylor, obviously in an RV, which, it may have some glamour for about a week, and then that glamour goes away pretty quickly because then it's no
Oh
longer
yeah,
like camping.
it was rough. It was the rough moments, but we got through. My wife's a tough one, and our big kid is probably a cooler little boy because of it. And now we've got a second one, and we're in the house, and the trails are resurrected, and there's more up there than ever now, and we're in good shape. Let's hope we don't have a problem again this
Boy,
summer.
knock on wood there, and yeah, whatever kind of dance we have to do, I'm with you on that one. As we watch the Dixie go right around us, and of course the Caldor and Tahoe, and yeah, it's enough.
Yeah,
We've had enough. So,
my I'd be remiss to forget that when those fires happened, we had a lot of help from our community, like financial help. Our buddy set up a GoFundMe that was uh, pretty damn successful, and then Santa Cruz and Pond came up with some money, like not a small chunk of money, and they just said, "Hey, listen, like your house burned down. We've put this package together for you. Here it is." And this is like, so thanks if you're
yeah.
out there and you helped out, whether it be $5 or way more than that. Thanks.
Well, Garen, you
Feels
certainly
good.
deserve it. I know on the flip side of that, you've been there many times yourself, and I'm sure that you've pressed that button many times, and that's testament to a good company, and obviously your community, and that's we see that up here, and that really is kind of the saving grace when you have to go through something like that, still live your life, and then you know anticipate coming back to something like a Downieville Classic, but be able to have a smile on your face and treat it like you want to, and not just have that just ache, heartache and pain of like, oh, I can't wait to not be here and get back and do what I need to do successfully. Well, from fire now to kiddos. How old are the boys?
Oh, the little one is 7 months or so, and the big one will be 3 next month.
Oh wow, wow. Well, congratulations. I didn't realize we were so close on the second one. Greg always told me that two would be better than one. I think he was messing with me. Of course, he had already had two kids, and I have two kids now. So you have two. Is two better than one?
Depends on what your rating is. It's definitely like if more work and stress and pain in the ass is better, then yeah, they're way better than one. But no, it's good. I had a brother growing up, and I don't know what I would do without him. He's still my best friend, and the person I'm closest to aside from my wife. So I just wanted to make sure our little guy had a pal.
Yeah, I was same boat. My brother was 2.5 years younger, and he's passed away now, unfortunately. But growing up, we were definitely peas in the pod, anything sports, bikes. I mean, you name it. We were close enough in age where we could be each other's partner, friend, or nemesis. When it was necessary. My younger sister was 8 years younger, so she was kind of out of the picture. But yeah, the two of us. It's always good to have the sibling, and I'm starting to see some payoff now with my son. He's 9, and he can use the weed eater. He's good with bringing the garbage can back down, taking care of the dogs outside in the yard. And my daughter's 5, and she's real interested in all that stuff. So now it's become, kind of a fun thing to do family wise. And so maybe there's a little bit of payoff now. Maybe some of those, farmers' kids when they had 10 or 11, now it's making sense now.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Put them to
Jeez.
work.
No, we're done, dude. 2 of 2. We've agreed on that. There will be no more. My brother, man, my brother is a dude who has spent some time in Downieville, motoing. I've been trying to get him out there to ride bicycles for quite a few years, and haven't succeeded. He doesn't live anywhere near here, but he's been up and down that mountain on his motorcycle quite a bit. It's pretty cool to have kind of share those same experiences. I have never been there with him, and he's telling me about the trails, and I'm just like, he's like, you know this one? I'm like, dude, I know everyone.
Like the back of my hand.
I know I know every trail on that. Yeah, it's cool. I shouldn't say I know every trail. There's a ton of stuff up there I don't know. There's lots to learn.
Old Gensheimer, the trail whisperer, he gets out there and finds old goat trails and old mining trails that probably haven't been walked on for 50 years. And then all of a sudden it gets put into inventory and some revitalization, a new life, and boom, just like that, there comes another brand new trail into the system. Well, not brand new to us. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't do much prep for this podcast except for just write a list of people down that I wouldn't know if it wasn't for Downieville. And I was just going to just mention that, you guys, I've listened to a couple of these, and everyone's talking about what Downieville is and what the event is and why people are so affected by the place. And I really think it's the people, man. It's the people like Greg, Cause, you, Marty, Mason, and John, and Kurt. There's so many that make Downieville what it is. That's what it is for me. It's the people. I didn't do a lot of prep for this podcast, but I did write down. I was just thinking about like what Downieville means to people, and how you keep mentioning how special the event is, and once you go, you'll get it, and it'll never leave you. For me, it's like it is the people, I think, that make it what it is, and the vibe in the town is really, really good during that event, and that all comes from people like you and Greg and Cause and just so Kurt Gensheimer, the Epps family, Mason and John, and all these people that you've just met over the years, Henry O'Donnell, who they just really make the event what it is. You can tell that there's a lot of energy and anticipation and time spent throughout the year prepping for this event, and when you're there, your family, and it just feels good, man. I think it's all about the people for me.
I would have to agree fully. It's some lifelong friends that you meet in just such different ways. That you can call it people that through work. But you're right, when you talk about Downieville, that definition just doesn't fit. I mean, people become literally family members in the world of outdoors and everything that we do. And yeah, I agree. And thanks for the kind words too on that one, Gary. I mean, that means a lot to us, and you guys are certainly in that same category, along with a lot of other great people too that we're going to see now in less than 30 days. But let's do some fun stuff. So, I guess maybe a new name for you. I know that you've been labeled kind of like the bull in the china shop with your writing escapades when it comes to opening up your body, and I don't mean like your mouth to drink a beer. I mean like flesh that requires sutures, flesh that's opened up enough to where it looks like there's a mouth on your shoulder. Where was that? Was that up? That was up in Canada, right? The
Yeah,
big one on your.
that was in BC. That was gross, man.
Man.
That's probably one of the grossest things I've ever seen.
It's a good thing this is an audio podcast and not video, because if it was a video, I'd have that bad boy posted up. I still have that picture. I still show it to people, and they're like, "Dude, you didn't have to show me that. I can't. I'm not even able to eat the rest of the day."
Yeah, for the listeners, basically, if anyone wants to see it, I can dig it up. But basically, I just like had a small, high speed get off the mountain bike off the trail and kind of just landed in a pile of sticks. And in the sticks were a couple logs that had broken off branches on them, and I just skewered my arm. It didn't break anything and didn't actually even hurt that bad. It like bludgeoned the hell out of my arm, and in doing so, like, it opened up this big cut that spewed out a bunch of white subcutaneous fat cells kind of all over my arm. It looked like a mouth that had thrown up. It was just so gross. But yeah, thanks for bringing that one up.
Yeah. Well, you've had maybe not one that bad, but you've had one or two in Downieville. Didn't you actually get some sutures in Downieville one time?
Oh, twice. I got a couple good ones, man. I'd say one of my favorite Downieville stories is I went riding with Kurt. I forgot who else. We did a big day. I forgot exactly what the ride was, but the end of it was on Empire Creek. And we were coming down Empire Creek. I remember I was on a tall boy. It was actually the weekend of the Lurapalooza, with this huge Santa Cruz Bikes party we had there. Everyone camped out in the meadow at the lure. And we went out for a big pedal, and I came back. I didn't have pads on, like a dummy. And we were getting done with the ride. We came down Empire Creek, and I just it's creek on the rider's left, hillside on the rider's right. And I just bobbled this corner and just kind of put the bike into the wall of the bench cut on the right-hand side. And there happened to be some shale there, and I just cut my knee real bad. Like, it looked like there's pictures of that too. It looked like a tiger took a swipe at me. And and I remember I was like, uh-oh, I remember going down. I think I washed it in Lavazola Creek. And then I rode down and got to town. I was like, is there a clinic? And there's no by this time the clinic was closed permanently, I think, or just maybe closed. And the only person there was Kim Delkiner, the significant other of Matt Danbroff, who's these are Downieville, practically locals. And she's a veterinarian, so that's the closest thing to a doctor we had on site. She put me in a lawn chair in the parking lot of the pizza place there, and gave me a shot of whiskey and a Sierra Nevada green label, and I just sat there and got stitches in that parking lot. I'll never forget it.
Dr. Rob would be proud.
Yeah. She insisted that I take these antibiotics that she had, and I, for some reason, didn't. And it did get infected pretty badly later, but it was successful stitching, and it's still holding up to this day. That's probably the coolest sort of first responder on trail first aid I've ever had.
It may be a good thing they didn't take the antibiotics. I mean, infections, no laughing matter, but if they were canine antibiotics, who knows? You would have started craving, dog food, sniffing butts, and licking yourself, and that could have went bad.
Foaming at the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. You mentioned a tiger taking a swipe at you, but on another Downieville area riding trip, you almost had a bear take a swipe at you, or you almost took the swipe at the bear, actually.
Yeah, man, another good one. I don't know why all these things happen to me in Downieville. It's probably a good sign that I should keep going. What was going on? I was with Vital MTB. The video is actually on Vital MTB. We were riding. We did this huge, I think 4 days in a row, 2 in Downieville and 2 in Quincy, of e-biking and filming. And we took some big bites that weekend. I remember we even had to cut some riding short. We were up on Chimney Rock, down up and up Empire on the e-bikes, with the cameras and stuff. Craycroft. We rode Hall's Ranch back. And for whatever reason on the ride, at one point in this ride, they were like, "Hey, Becker, why don't you put on the GoPro?" And I've never had a GoPro on all my life. Never, literally had never worn one until that point. And I put a chest mount GoPro on, and I probably had 15 seconds of riding in before I came very close to running over a huge ass bear on the trail.
He or she, it was a big black bear. Big. I mean, this thing, if you'd have hit it and tangled, oh man, you probably would have had some more sutures.
It was a big animal. I was really surprised at how big and how fluffy it looked. Like, it looked like you could just bury your hand in that fur. I wanted to, but it ran off like a shot. I thought it was just someone smashing around in the bushes next to me, or maybe like someone had crashed and went in the bushes or something. But yeah, it was a bear running alongside the trail in the bush and then caught out in front of me about 4 or 5 feet away and then bolted down the trail.
It's a great video. I mean, you definitely look it up on my Vital MTB, and if you look up, if you look up Garen Becker and bear, I'm sure it's going to come up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think the title was like Vital takes on the Lost Sierra. That was a good trip, man.
In this chapter, Garen takes on the bear. Oh boy, those I mean, those are Downieville stories. I mean, that can't happen in many other places, and couldn't happen to a better person. I mean, the sutures suck, but is what it is.
Yeah, man, I've had some really great times up there. Like, I remember we had this thing called the Gold Rush back in the day when we had a dealer event. We called it the Gold Rush. We flew a lot of people out globally to Downieville. We stayed in every available bed in the town, if I remember correctly. I remember riding with Steve Pete and Greg Menard down like the Downieville downhill.
Oh man,
like on Steve's tail.
That's legendary. I mean, it really is. Yeah.
How often do you get to do that?
Just riding with those guys, one thing, but doing it in Downieville, especially a place where you probably, you did, obviously, you had more institutional knowledge and trail knowledge than they did, and probably gave you a huge advantage. But boy, those two, right, following them in Downieville, be pretty amazing.
Yeah, those guys, or anyone who can qualify for a World Cup, or even get top 100, they are faster than I am on a trail they've never seen before, by a good margin. Like, even if I know the trail like the back of my hand, the speed that those guys have and the confidence they carry, I can't keep up with them. I can't keep up with Steve Pete on anywhere in Downieville. No way.
Oh, two fast movers right there for sure. Mm-hmm. Yep. Great guys. So, through your career, at Santa Cruz, Downieville Classic, I have it on good authority that you may have actually been living a double life there for a while, and maybe got busted on it in Nevada City while trying to grab a burger one year, where it was obvious that you also had a home improvement show, and your stage name was Ty Pennington. So you got to give me the scoop on that one.
You've been talking to Don Palomini. Yeah. One time, that was the first time I had ever heard the name Ty Pennington. But one time, Don and I were in the In-N-Out Burger, and some lady was like, "I know you. You're on the TV." I was like, "What? No, I'm not. Nope, just a regular guy." "Yeah, you're the guy. Home Improvement." And Don at that moment was like, "Holy shit, he looks like Ty Pennington, doesn't he?" And ever since then, I've actually got it a bunch. I've got it a bunch from our little Santa Cruz Instagram videos that we do. People in the comments. I don't know.
That's pretty good. I think I'd rather be Ty Pennington. My wife and I think the first time we weren't married yet. First time we ever went to Vegas, and we're just walking down the strip. This time I was like in a rock band, so my hair, it had red and blonde. It had multiple colors in it, and had the old flavor saver chin hair, and was wearing probably some stupid Affliction shirt, something like that. Ooh. And this guy comes up, and he is just like, he thinks that I'm, oh God, was it the Sugar Ray lead singer, dude, Mark McGrath? And I'm just like, dude, I am not that guy. And he's like, "You are. You're just trying not to say that." I'm like, really? Really? Couldn't you pick somebody else? The Sugar Ray, Mark McGrath? Come on, man. Yeah. So, and yeah, I'm glad that was long ago enough where cell phone video just wasn't, you could just click it on, and because that crap would have got on there, and I'd never be able to live that down with my friends for sure and family.
I Maybe I should have you on my little podcast and hear more about Rockstar Marty.
Yeah, boy, there's some good stuff in that one. We could definitely have some fun. Yeah, I'd be happy to down the road. So we're pushing some time here. You mentioned the two kids. You're back in the house. Living the American dream. I would say two vehicles, but apparently vehicle and equipment wise, you're kind of like one of those people that has to buy things and then maybe sell things.
Yeah, I mean, I got a bit of a problem with that stuff. Not big. I have a hard time. Like, for better or for worse, I like to do things myself. I'm a bit of a DIY guy, and when you look at, you have a house project, the house went to ground zero. Nothing there, no foundation, nothing, and you have to start from square one. And I looked at renting tractors and renting equipment, and it's so expensive that I ended up just buying used equipment. I blame my kid, honestly. My kid and I would watch YouTube videos of tractors, and it was for him, I thought, but it was just apparent to me how much you can get done with these machines if you have them on site. So yeah, I became a bit of an equipment dork. So I've got that going for me.
That's a big kid though. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I still love tractors, excavators. I
Hmm.
mean, back in my, general engineering days, I had a crane on a barge and a pile driver, and I drove 40-foot long steel pipe into a lake bed, to make a up here a boat lift. And it was, just something funny. Sometimes I would, just like, wow, I'd never envisioned myself sitting in a crane driving a big steel spike into a lake bed, but it was fun.
See, dude, you got to come on the podcast. I got to ask you the questions. I got a question for you, Marty. Here's one. Marty, maybe I haven't listened to every Dirt Magic podcast, but I haven't heard one in which you tell us what you do for SPTS. And I have never heard anyone go, yeah, Marty, you're the guy commentating across the speakers at the whole Downieville Classic. You're the voice. Um, and I got a question for you. Why are you always saying the word libation? What the hell is with you and the word libation?
Man, that one is between that and please do not lane your bikes on the community hall.
Yes.
Yeah, adult libation. I don't, that stuck so long ago. And you know who I think I can blame Jen from, what she call it? What was the Colorado brewery New Belgium?
Hmm.
And I think that she came up one time and said, you know what, Marty, I think that you look like you're thirsty and you need one of these ice cold adult libations. And I think it was her that said it. And man, when she said it, I went for the rest of that down. It was at the Downieville Classic, obviously. For the rest of the classic, I'm like, oh, I'm using that. And then it just stuck. And now, unfortunately, I don't even know when I say it. It just spews out. And then it'll be a few seconds later. And I'm like, dang it, how many times have I said that today?
Yeah. Drinking game in the Santa Cruz booth. Every time Marty says libation, bottoms up. We're all going to be pissed by the
Man.
end of the event.
That could be a dangerous one right there. I know. Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I mean, this podcast is cool. I enjoy doing it, and if we can keep it going after the Downieville Classic, and truly make it Dirt Magic, and talking everything about what the stewardship does, all of our partners and friends and family, and working on trails, that we'll keep it going. But this is I think I started talking on the mic for the classic in 2002 or 2003. So this is basically 20 years of being on the mic for the stewardship for the classic, lost and found. Obviously we had a couple year hiatus there, but yeah, it's been a fun ride, and that turned into from not only just volunteering for the classic, but turned into advisory board, helping out with like lodging. I mean, you know what lodging is like in Downieville. That kind of became my baby over the years, and trying to put that game of pickup sticks together with partners and sponsors. And then it
Yep.
turned into eventually, me wanting to, with the pandemic was the right time to, hey, I think the kids need to grow up in the mountains. They haven't made any lifelong friends yet, just really the family youngins, so now's the time to go. So let's do it. And my wife is a rock star, and she was willing to do it. And, she's the principal here now at the high school here in Quincy. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of
Cool.
like a little mini dream come true. And then it allowed me to work even more for the stewardship, and go, full time, and with our partners and sponsors. And of course, it's a rough job when I have to, deal with people like you and all the good people from the companies that support us. But yeah, it's one of those jobs. It can be rough and stressful, but you know what? I smile every day, knowing that it's coming up. So
Yeah, me too. It's just a good community feeling. It's a good crowd. It's a family event, and all the exhibitors are just super sweethearts. And there's the movie night on Friday, which I love, and the live music, and you pop into the St. George before the end of the night, and you just I don't know, man. It's just I just miss it so much. I can't wait to get back.
St. Charles.
Did I say St.
Yeah,
George?
you said
Sorry,
St. George. Where is
that's a
that?
place it's in Utah. I was just
Oh,
there.
I was gonna say that. Now that sounds like a cool place too.
Yeah, St. George.
Yeah.
It's a town in Utah with some mountain biking. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, Garen, and thanks for being on. And I know we're pushing on an hour here by the time it's all said and done. But I wanted to close out. Maybe just and not to put you on the spot too much, but you know, what's most important to you about the Downieville Classic, and what does this 25th anniversary mean to you, and at least maybe for your perspective of what it means to Santa Cruz?
That's a tough one. I don't often speak for Santa Cruz because there's just so many. I'll probably say something wrong, or I'm liable to start crying or something. But no, it's for me coming back. This event is. I feel like the pandemic is pretty distant in the rearview mirror, but everything's not back to normal yet, and the Downieville Classic not taking place is a good indicator of that. So for me, this is like I'm going to see a ton of people that I don't get to see often, like you, Paul Price. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on of people that I missed during the pandemic, and the Downieville Classics, like we're all coming back. We tried to have it last year, but there's problems with the permit and issues getting it going, and it's just hard to make an event that big. But when we think about the alternative, which is not having it, it's just such a big miss for this big community that we've all put together. And I'm talking about the riders, the staff of SPTS, the exhibitors, and the crowds in general. Like, it's just such a good vibe. It's so different than any other bike event in my book. It's a family feel, and it's just everyone's on cloud nine. It's a good vibe.
I would echo those words 100%. And when I explain it to some of my friends that have never attended, I tell them, it's the most intimate gathering of 3,000 to 4,000 people that you'll ever have. And they kind of look at me funny. They're like, that's like an oxymoron. That doesn't make sense. I go, yeah, it doesn't make sense on the surface, but when you're there and all those people are there, it really feels like you're just hanging out with your best friends, no matter who you rub shoulders against, or when you're standing on the podium or doing the raffle, just walking down the expo, you're in the St. Charles, you're watching movie night, you're at the river jump. Yeah, it really just feels like, a couple thousand of your closest friends spending one heck of a few days in the La Sierra in the beautiful town of Downieville. And you're making me get choked up now.
It certainly doesn't feel like work, does it?
No,
it's like,
no.
I always tell my wife, I'm sorry, but I have to be at this event. It's 4 or 5 days. I just have to be there. Title sponsor, I've just got to be there.
Absolutely.
When I'm there, I'm like, woohoo,
It is. I mean, it's that anticipation. I'm glad it's closer to drive now, because coming from Lake County where I used to live, it was a 3.5 hour drive, or 4, depending on how bad traffic was, but getting there was no problem. That was the anticipation of it, of showing up and going, okay, here I am. I can turn this vehicle off. I'm not even going to be in this vehicle, for the next 5 days, and I'm going to walk everywhere, and everything's taken care of. Everything's going to go smoothly. But that drive home, boy, it was a bit bittersweet, knowing that, wow, another success, but it's the longest 3.5 to 4 hours, almost like heartbreaking, like if you were, back in the early days of, if you had a boyfriend or girlfriend and went to college, and they weren't going to the same college or something. You're like, oh man, this is rough. But so now at least it's only, an hour drive home.
So yeah, you're lucky.
It'll be a lot better for me. Yeah. Santa Cruz is a little bit further than that. And I will thank you guys for not being at Sea Otter, because if you guys were at Sea Otter, then of course, we would have been at Sea Otter right after we were at this trail summit. So we'd have been in Reno for the first 3 days and then Monterey for the next 3 to 4 days. And that is one of the worst drives home ever from Monterey to the mountains. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Special place. I'm excited to come back.
Well, looking forward to seeing you, Don, Scotty, Joe, the whole gang, old riders and some new riders. I'm looking forward to the competition, but mostly I'm looking forward to being underneath that tent and having a mule or some other tasty adult libation that Santa Cruz is providing there from the blender or the squeeze box. And look forward to seeing you for sure. And thanks for being on the show. And of course, everything you do, for us, Garen, we really appreciate it.
Oh, it goes right back at you. Thanks for having me and for doing the podcast in general. And yeah, come out to the booth. This year we're going to have an aid station too this year, Marty.
Yeah, that's right. Up at the big one up at Becker. Yep.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, so it'll be good. You guys will you have to put the limiter on Metal Mike, because he'll be with you up there on Sunday, not Saturday, but he'll be up there on Sunday, and you'll have to see if you can curtail we call him Metal Mike for a reason. His music. So, as anybody that's ever been in a shuttle with him already knows.
Yeah.
Well, Garen, thanks a lot, and I look forward to seeing you next month. It's right around the corner. We'll be there before we know it, and good times to be had by all.
Yep, sounds good, Marty. Thanks for having me, and we'll see you out there.
All right, buddy. I really, really appreciate it, and thanks again for being on the show. You've been listening to Dirt Magic, the Downieville Sessions. I'm your host, Martin Scheel. Dirt Magic is produced by the Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship. Music selection courtesy of the Saddle Tramps. Stay tuned for our next Downieville Sessions, and thanks again for listening.